Hey everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to do my top 10 Disney movies of all time. We're going to do a list, and it's a video response to Ari Lewis 2011. I really enjoyed his video on his top 10 Disney movies, and it really got me thinking, what are my favorite Disney movies of all time? We're going to do it the same way he did his, where there's sort of a rule, no live action stuff and no Pixar. So you're not going to see like Toy Story and WALL-E and all those great movies in this list, as much as those are like fantastic films, and I would actually consider a couple of them in my favorite movies of all time. I'm not going to include them in this list. These are just the major Disney animated features, and you're not going to see a lot of new ones. In fact, a lot of the ones that are my favorites are actually a little bit older. So we're going to get into it right away and start with number 10. Just a quick warning, there is one that I actually do not have the DVD of, and you'll find out why as we get to it. So, number 10 would be Sleeping Beauty. I've always liked this movie, definitely an older one now, and I don't know, like, there's nothing specific about it in the sense of, like, oh, I love the specific, the character. I really do like the music in this. I always liked the main theme. It was always fun. I can still always hum it in my head. I don't know, I liked the fairy godmother. They're not fairy godmothers, I guess they were just fairies. But I don't know, I really just liked it. I liked Maleficent. I thought she was pretty evil. It's just overall a good movie, and I thought it was exciting, and it's a pretty simple story, but I always enjoyed it. It's my number 10 for a reason. This is not my number 1, but I really, I enjoy this movie over a lot of other ones. So I'm just going to leave it at that, but it is a classic, and I really like it. The next one is one that is pretty obscure. A lot of people do not, A, have never seen it, or B, just a lot of people hated it. But that would be The Black Cauldron. And I really, really, really like this movie. Very, very dark movie from the 80s. Really different for Disney. They got a lot of flack for this. This was during the time when Disney was like almost going out of business, and they tried this, and this did not help their cause at all. Maybe I like this movie because I really like role-playing games. It's really quest-oriented. I really like the characters, the music, and I just honestly really like how evil and dark it is. This is really different for a Disney movie. So if you guys are really, used to the Sleeping Beauties, the Cinderella's, Little Mermaid type movies, this is way different. This was not, whoever was behind this, like the specific writers, were really, skewing away from like the normal Disney stuff. And I think that's why I really liked it. Like the, oh man, yeah, the Horned King. This is like weird Lord of the Rings evil stuff, and it's, again, really different for a Disney movie, and I think that's why I liked it so much. It had lovable characters too, not just, I think that's why it had great characters, a really bad villain, interesting setting. It was really spooky, and again, really different for what Disney normally makes. So definitely check this out if you don't like it. It got a lot of hate, but I thought it was great, and I watched this when I was a little kid, and I remember not knowing anything about it. We found it at a rental place, and I had never seen it. I'd seen all the other ones, and this was definitely a really nice surprise. So check out Black Cauldron if you have not seen it. All right, so number 8, I guess we're at, would be Dumbo, and I love this movie so much. It's, really old now. I think it's 1940 or 41, and it's still entertaining. This is still a really good movie. Lots of great music. Honestly, the whole scene where Dumbo gets drunk, although a little bit sort of racy for today, like they would never include a scene like that. In fact, there's a lot of stuff in here that's pretty bad and they would never put in a new movie. But that whole scene was not just funny and interesting, but it's like really artistically interesting. Like honestly, that whole scene is like, somebody had a weird acid trip and said, let's put this in the movie. It's so fun and creepy, and I love listening to that. The Pink Elephants on Parade song, it's so good. And there's just a lot of emotion in this movie. Like when he gets taken away from his mother, that was really sad. And it's just overall a really cool movie, and it's really weird. An elephant that wants to fly, like that's pretty weird. Lots of fun stuff, and honestly, like from a sort of movie critique side where you're looking at the times, sort of the era, lots of really sort of bad, like racist stuff in here that's interesting to see because it shows just exactly what was allowed in a movie back then and what they would never put in today's movies. I find that more sex stuff is in movies now as opposed to like more racism or violence, because now like the sex stuff they throw in there for the parents, but then there is like some bad shit in here. But honestly, it's a really good movie overall, and although some of the songs might be kind of iffy, they're good songs, and overall just a good movie. And that whole Pink Elephants on Parade thing, that is just fantastic. I love it. So number 7 is Lady and the Tramp. I love this movie. Great songs. I love the songs in all Disney movies. They're always great and you never forget them. But this movie was really interesting, and I think I loved it too because I'm a huge dog person. I just love dogs. I have 2 dogs, and I love the Tramp because I know he's obviously like a mutt and he's kind of a mix, but he really looks like a terrier. I'm a huge terrier person. I have a wire-haired fox terrier, and I grew up, we had an Airedale terrier, and I've always liked the Tramp because he had that terrier face, and so I really kind of got into the movie because of that. But some really classic stuff in this. I love that they had Peggy Lee as one of the singers, like as one of the dogs in the pound. There's just so many great scenes. I mean, that's this whole scene right here, classic Disney. Honestly, this is a really good movie. I mean, there's the whole Siamese cat thing, which is totally racist, but it's hilarious. I'm sorry. There's so many good sort of classic, memorable moments in this movie, and honestly, it's good. So again, get this. It's not available right now because I think it's back in the vault, but I really, really like The Lady and the Tramp. Okay, what are we at now? Number 6? I think so. Jeez, I've already forgotten. Either way, that would be The Lion King. And you might think, wow, that's not higher up on the list. It isn't, actually. I really, really, really like The Lion King, but there are more that I can think I would like to watch, like I would prefer to watch other movies over The Lion King. This movie was like, you know, it's childhood right here. A great, 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 great 90s Disney movie. Honestly, like, every song in this movie is good. Like, there's not one scene that's bad. I mean, the movie's a ripoff of Hamlet, I get that, and a lot of these movies take from other things, and that's great. I love this movie. It had a really good voice cast. They got a lot of big names to come in for this, and really good songs. Like, honestly, the Scar song, where it's kind of like alluding to like Nazis. Again, lots of weird stuff in Disney movies. When you look back, you're like, okay, I did not pick up on that as a kid, obviously, and you look back and you're like, wow, that is really alluding to some weird stuff. But this movie is great, like great characters, great songs. It visually looked amazing. This was when Disney was back in their prime, and I think they did a really good job with this. It's a great movie. That's all I can say, really. And okay, so now we're getting to the top 5. These are movies I really, really like. Disney movies I really like, obviously. So let's get right to number 5, and that is 101 Dalmatians. Again, another dog movie, but I just loved this movie. It had great music in it. I loved, I don't know how to describe this. The whole scene where they're trying to get back home, and they're in the winter, and it was just, I don't know, it was gritty. Like, you couldn't stop watching it. It was like, oh no, I really feel for these characters, and there's so many of them. It was just really good, and it's a cute love story between the couple and the dogs, and honestly, one of the best Disney villains ever, Cruella de Vil, and again, one of the best Disney songs ever. It's so good. I love this movie. Like, she is classic villain right there. Actually, there's my top 5. There's a lot of classic Disney villains, I think. But yeah, this is a really good movie. And again, I love dogs. It was really fun. And just great villains, great everything. I love 101 Dalmatians. Okay, so number 4, we have The Little Mermaid. This is obviously, I was going to say one of my favorites. Obviously, it's number 4. But I watched this all the time as a kid. And what people always say is, well, that was a girl movie. You know what? I don't classify, there might be the odd one that's a girl movie, but I don't really classify this as one of those. yes, it was about a princess and she's trying to fall in love with a prince, but it was very interesting and creepy. The whole thing where she basically like, you know, she's not selling her soul, but kind of like she basically sells her voice in return to have a human body so she can meet Eric, the prince, but it's really creepy, and Ursula is one of the best villains. Again, Cruella, Ursula, two really great villains in Disney movies. And her whole song is just, I just love it. I love all the villain songs. They're just great, whether the villain is singing them or people are singing about the villain. They're always fun. Like, everyone remembers them, and they're just great. But this movie was, I just loved it, everything. There was good characters. I like the ocean. I always liked swimming when I was a kid, so maybe that's why I liked it a lot. But I can watch this movie over and over. It was just really good. I mean, Ariel's a great character, but she's not one of my favorite characters. I think it was the overall concept of the movie that really captured me. I thought it was great. And I just like the whole mermaid thing, because you wonder, not whether it's real, but, you know, what if that's out there and there's like people living under the ocean? I think that's maybe captivated my imagination as a kid, and that's why I like The Little Mermaid. But again, another great score by Ellen Menken, and just a good movie overall. Love The Little Mermaid. Okay, top 3 time. These are movies I beyond love. This one, it's tough because it would almost be in there as well. But this is like beyond, like, again, one of my favorite movies of all time. And that would be another obscure one, The Rescuers Down Under. I love this movie. It is fantastic. Everything about it is great. A good voice cast for starters. But from the moment it starts, you know something is really special about this movie. When it, you know, the zoom in onto, I don't know how to describe it, but they zoom in onto Cody's house. He's the main character. And it's this long sort of intro. And you just know something is really special about this. And I know that the first movie is good as well. It does not compare to this one. The Rescuers Down Under is a great movie, and it's a sequel, oddly enough, because usually sequels aren't as good. But this movie is great. The music is good. And I'm not talking, this isn't a musical. This wasn't one of those, you know, most Disney movies are musicals, and this one wasn't. But I really actually enjoy the score. It's fantastic. And the villain. The villain is beyond good. McLeach, oh my God. He's just amazing. Him and Joanna, like everything about this, and Frank, like there's so many good characters in this. Like Joanna, who's his like pet lizard, and she's just horrible and she doesn't talk or anything, but it's still just one of those, I will never forget it. All the animals in the cages, and it was fun because it's in Australia. Oh, it's just, I don't know. This is a fantastic movie. I can watch this anytime. It's just so good. And it was visually really good. Apparently, I guess this was one of the movies they did where they first started using some CGI stuff with Disney movies. And they were really getting out of that 80s push. I think this was the one just before Little Mermaid. I'm not sure. But they were starting to experiment with some new techniques with like the visual animation part. And it looks great. Like when he's flying on the eagle, it's just a great scene. Like this movie is so good, I have to stop talking. So we're gonna get to the top 2. My number 2 is one that I actually do not have. And again, it could be number 1, and the one I'm putting as number 1 could be number 2. These are kind of on par for me. But number 2 is Aladdin. And Aladdin they have not released on Blu-ray yet. And back when they released it on DVD, I didn't pick it up. And they have not re-released it. For like almost 10 years. In fact, it might be 10 years now. And it's very frustrating because I feel like in the past sort of 5-6 years, I've almost seen certain ones re-released. Like, for example, Lady and the Tramp has been re-released a couple times. It's beyond frustrating because I feel like, why is Aladdin getting a weird snub? Because it's a lot of people's favorite. But regardless of me not having the case here, Aladdin is amazing. It's so good. I've always been fascinated with sort of Middle Eastern culture. Not that Aladdin is a representation of that, but it's so fun because I think it's exotic. A lot of Disney movies are exotic, but you know, The Little Mermaid's not exotic. I mean, the Aladdin was just so interesting, like magic carpet rides. As a kid, it was so interesting and fun, and you wished it was all real. Jafar is a really good villain. He's just creepy as all hell. Honestly, I think that's it. He's just a creepy, sleazy dude. Like, really. And he's great, though. And then there's Every song in that movie is amazing. Like, it's so good. And Robin Williams is the genie, another fantastic addition. Just really good stuff. I guess I haven't really got into any of the gender aspect, but I really like Jasmine as a Disney princess, I guess, because she, I don't know, regardless of Aladdin still saving her at the end and her being in a slutty outfit at the end, regardless of all that, she seems to be pretty independent as opposed to some of these other Disney princesses. Not so much. So I've liked her on that term, and I just liked her personality anyway. She seemed, I don't know, like if I could hang out with the Disney princesses, I'd way rather hang out with her than, say, Cinderella. So she seemed really fun, and I just love everything. The Cave of Wonders, every scene in that movie is so good. I want to watch it right now. So it's great. Yeah, characters, everything, Abu, like it's just a good movie. That whole part at this, that song at the start where they talk about they'll cut off your hand and then they replaced it with a different lyric because it was a little too racy. And I think, wow, I don't know. It's a fun movie, and I remember when it came out when I was a kid, and it was just beyond fun. And yeah, visually, it's a really good-looking, like, animated movie, too. Everything about Aladdin is fun. I don't know how anyone could not like it, but regardless, that's my number 2. If you're wondering what my number 1 is, it could be a lot of things, I guess. But it's an older one, and it's one that I just love to bits, and that is Peter Pan. I love this movie way too much. Everything about it. And I think I like it so much because it's sort of, I always say, oh, I have Peter Pan syndrome. I never want to grow up. So maybe that's why I associate with this movie so much. It's about a boy who never wants to grow up and can't because he's in Neverland and won't. But it was just so fun, and having like all the kids go to Neverland, and just, I don't know how to describe this. I like a lot of the older movies. I would say, let's say 50s era, because there's a certain style of singing they used back then that they just don't anymore. Now you can always tell, oh, that sounds like a Disney movie, but they used a different style of singing back then in a lot of different movies, and it's just so nice. I think that's the way to describe it. It's just so pleasant and nice. Just every song in this is just fun. And hey, Captain Hook, one of the best villains ever. Everything about that, and the crocodile and the watch, and just, it's so weird, and this movie is so good, and Peter Pan is so fun, and Tinkerbell, hello, Tinkerbell is amazing, and the whole relationship between Peter and Tinkerbell is awesome, and Peter and Wendy, and I get creepy about this movie, but I just love, I love this movie so much. It's fantastic. Great songs. I love all the Lost Boys. I don't know. It's just a really fun movie. I just always loved it. As a kid, it was one of the, you watch certain movies over and over when you're a kid. And obviously I watched Aladdin over and over, and I watched Lion King over and over. But I watched this one all the time, and it really grew on me. And like, you start singing all the songs in it. It had great songs, and actually, people slam it a bit now, but I don't care. I loved Hook a lot. I thought it was great. Like, Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook was amazing. I'm a huge Dustin Hoffman fan, but that's probably why I liked Hook so much, because I love Peter Pan. It's a good movie. I like how it ended. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just pure fun. And there's so many neat things. There's a lot of spin-offs of this now, and I've heard like all the Tinkerbell like CGI movies, and they look horrendous, and it makes me sad because I feel like little girls, they're trying to attract little girls to this. And this movie to me was sort of a gender neutral one. I guess Peter Pan could maybe be more of the male ones, but honestly, I just thought it was pure fun. There's something for everybody in this, and I don't know. And I think of things and I go, I'm not really a pirate person, and like, I don't know. I just really like Peter Pan. Again, I could maybe put Aladdin here. They could be tied, but you gotta pick something. I'm not gonna do a tie. So I'm going to pick Peter Pan as my number 1 spot because it's fantastic. So that is my top 10. Those are my top 10 Disney movies. But there's a couple honorable mentions I want to bring up just quickly because I didn't want to have a top 12, and there's lots of movies. Like, you didn't see Beauty and the Beast in this list. I love Beauty and the Beast. It's a good movie, but it never resonated with me as a kid. Watching it as an adult, I thought, this movie's actually pretty good, but it never was the same. So it's a good movie, but there's a couple in here that I thought, I really do like these. But I didn't put them in here. So there's no order. These are just ones I thought, I'll mention these because I like them. But Cinderella, actually, I really like Cinderella a lot. It was good. It's totally one of the most stereotypical, like, really, really bad gender movie, horrible that way. Like, it's she's cleaning. It's just bad. But regardless, the songs are really good in this. The whole, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, and like the song where they're all the mice are singing and making her a dress and singing Cinderelli, Cinderelli. And I always loved the music from this growing up. And like, her like stepmother and stepsisters were horrible and they were fun characters and you wanted her to win and you wanted to root for her. So I will mention this because I did enjoy it a lot as a kid. And I will briefly mention I was a huge tomboy as a kid. So it's not like, of course, she was a little girl. She loved this movie. That has nothing to do with it. I always liked Cinderella. And the next one is one that I look back and I go, yeah, this was a good one. And that's Mulan. It's a good movie. I remember seeing it in the theater and I thought, that was fun. Like, this is a fun movie. So I will definitely give it an honorable mention because it has really good music. It's funny. As much as there's issues with it, it was interesting having a female character basically become a man and then hang out with all the guys and sort of save the day. But it's a great movie. It's fun. It was neat to see like the first Asian princess. Disney seems to be getting pretty good with that. In fact, the 90s was full of non-white Disney princesses, which is really cool. I thought that was neat, and they seem to have up their game on that one. So it's neat. I really like this movie. Good songs and just overall fun movie. I loved Mulan. So that's my list. Disney movies are fantastic. I've enjoyed a lot of the new ones, like Tangled was good. But yeah, Disney movies are fantastic. Who doesn't grow up with, not like watching them? Everyone does. They're just good movies. And they're fun even as an adult. In fact, after making this list, I kind of want to go watch some of them right now, like Rescuers Down Under, because it's so good. But that is my list. Thank you, Rusty. I'll leave a link to his channel, but because I don't think you can do video responses anymore. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thank you, Rusty, for a great idea, and I will see you guys later.